introduce you to the idea of the skill tree. As you level up, you get access to these different skills or passives to make your characters more powerful.
This category has a few different skills that are all similar. They're either all defensive or all offensive, all ice or all fire. You can either focus on a very specific section or you can choose.
The first skill point when you unlock a new skill is giving you access. After that, you can put additional points into any skill that you have. And it's going to make it that whether it increases the radius, adds a new effect, or reduces the cooldown away.
You can actually branch out in a very different direction, even if two characters started at the same time. The Carry-On Board is a linking system that once you've completely filled out your skill tree, you think you have a build, will really let you delve into the theory crafting and the depth of Diablo 4's skill system.
And these boards, they can move through them, spending their Carry-On points, and they have nodes that can become very basic stats on the intellect and dexterity. They also have more powerful nodes. You have rare nodes that have different effects, where they can totally modify skills to do something additional or different, or they can make connections between skills so that players can have new ways to play the character. Legendary nodes are equivalent to legendary powers, where they have more powerful effects that can change the build ways that characters play.
You can start planning this long journey of, okay, I want to hit this node, and then I want to hit this node, and I'm going to apply this board, and I'm going to start from this side, and really just get into a super complex, very specific build for your character.
Legendary items are really rare and powerful items that you're going to find as you eventually play. You have quite a few different categories of legendaries that do that. Some of them will actually change the skill or advance it in some way.
Frozen Orb, for example, it might say, hey, every single time you use your Frozen Orb, it applies a new effect. And then I can actually take advantage of that new effect that it has. Even if the item itself is maybe not as good as the one you have, you can still extract that power from it, take advantage of it, and use it for your build.
One thing that our players can look forward to is that a lot of our classic, really rare and most powerful items from previous titles are going to be returning as uniques in Diablo 4.
Unique items are very similar to legendaries, but they're unique, which means if that ability is actually on a chess piece, it's always going to be on that chess piece because it's more powerful than a regular legendary effect.
Crafting is a big part of Diablo 4. We have all kinds of different ways that you could upgrade and interact with NPCs to make your gear better. You can increase the item level or power of your gear, so you can actually get a piece of gear and just make it stronger. You can also add sockets to your gear so that you can put gems inside of it.
There are a lot of different ways that players will be able to customize their experience in Diablo 4. Every single player is going to have a different experience and a different build at the end of the day.
Because we have all of these different ways to make your own character, there's a lot more possibility compared to previous titles of how you want to play, how you want to build your character. We really are doubling down on this idea that you can look the way you want, you can play the way you want, you can really make your own fantasy in this game.
Hell welcomes all, and so does Diablo 4. In the coming weeks, we'll be sharing even more about how to play your way. Now, our launch on June 6th is getting closer. Closer still if you got early access. And we can't wait to see you in Sanctuary. Hail Lilith, Blessed Mother.
Okay, everything is set up now. Let's go and jump right in it.
Hi guys. that's how I started.
That's how you're starting it.
After all that anticipation. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Adam Fletcher. I'm the community lead for Diablo, and we are here for the next Diablo 4 Developer Update livestream. And I'm joined by this wonderful panel of people.
So you're overstating it, but
I'm
okay,
overstating it, but yeah.
Rod Ferguson, General Manager of all things Diablo.
Joseph Pipora, I'm the Associate Game Director for Diablo 4.
Kegan Clark, Director of Product for Diablo's live service.
Awesome. Well, we have a really packed show today, and there's a lot of stuff, obviously, going on with Diablo lately. I mean,
really?
I'm not sure if you've
nothing
heard.
going on. I thought didn't you just get back from vacation?
No,
you didn't.
Did I?
No.
I was in Chicago like a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm just lost all track of time. But we're only what?
22 days.
2 weeks, 3 weeks. I think I've lost all
the
track
launch?
of time. 3 weeks till early access.
22 days.
22 days. Oh, look, we have a wonderful countdown.
Oh. 22 days,
Yeah,
4 hours, 15 minutes, 43 seconds.
Exactly, until the early access actually starts. So if you actually have early access with a deluxe version or ultimate version of Diablo 4, you will be able to play here in a little over 3 weeks, which is pretty insane to think about.
It's wild to imagine having worked in this game for such a long time and then finally be able to see like we're 3 weeks away. You know, it's like it feels like we're 2 months away. We're 3 months. It constantly it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe it's finally here. It's almost time to play Diablo 4.
But you know what we could do before launch to play Diablo 4?
Play server slam.
Hey, there you go.
No, well, I was like, I wasn't sure if you were gonna like throw it to me a little bit more or something like that.
I couldn't throw it any harder.
But
This isn't a bit, guys. We're just bad guys.
we're just at it. This is live, by the way. So yeah, we actually do have our Diablo 4 server slam. It starts on May 12th. It goes through the 14th. It's another opportunity to play Diablo 4 before the launch of the game, which is great, and it helps us a ton. So make sure to jump in this weekend. There's a lot to do. You can actually start the early download here after this stream at noon today. So we'll actually have early download available, and players can download on Battle.net, on Xbox and PlayStation. If you already have the beta client from the prior betas that we had beforehand, those will actually just start auto-updating, and if you got rid of them, or if you want to jump in for Server Slam for the first time ever, you will have the ability to do so by downloading at noon.
But it is a fresh start. So even if you have the beta client from last time and it updates, all new characters, you're starting from level 1, and there's like a bunch of different changes, right, Joe, in terms of how we think about Server Slam versus the previous betas?
Yeah, that's right. So we made a number of changes, and we talked about a few of these in our last live stream. But we've gone ahead and made some adjustments to the way that
Audio is so low. Everything is on max.
The dungeon flows as you're going through the maps. We have a lot more smiley faces and fewer frowny faces as you progress on through. We've done some balance updates for classes to kind of like adjust based on like data we saw. We're looking at like how players were actually playing and like how reviewing how things were actually working in the live game. Which is really exciting. We made some adjustments like the drop rates. Now they're more reflective of the actual base game experience when we're launching in the near future. So during the last beta, we had like an accelerated drop rate for legendary items. Now you're going to get a sense of like what's going to really feel like in those early levels of Diablo 4. To try to like fight and try to find those legendary items.
Right. So actually, Server Slam will actually prove to be a little bit more challenging because the level cap is lower. It's not 25, it's 20. So you max it at 20, so you have essentially 5 less skill points to play with. And legendaries aren't going to be raining from the sky the way they were during the beta. So, we have this notion of getting to level 20 to get your wolf pack, and also to try to take on a Shava. But like, Shava is going to be more challenging than last time because of that 5 less skill points and not as many legendaries. So that's going to be really interesting to see if people can get to level 20 and beat a Shava. But it's a more accurate representation. It's sort of like people talked about how does it actually feel to go from 1 to 20, and this is actually, essentially the path we're pretty close to what we're shipping with at launch. Even a new font. We didn't talk about the new font.
That's true. Yeah, we definitely have also updated the font. So there's a lot. What we're really trying to say is there's a lot to look forward to as far as Server Slam. And importantly, please come check it out. It really is going to help us for launch to make sure that we get as many players as we can, stressing out the servers and making sure that we have accurately estimated everything. So we're in a really great spot.
So Kagan, what class are you playing in Slam?
I only ever play Rogue. I hate to be that person.
Ever play Rogue?
I only play Rogue. I really like high mobility classes. So like, I want to zip around.
Rogue is that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Sounds like they're
I got
not
my druid up to 25 last time.
shit.
I got a barbarian up to 25 last time. I'm looking forward to jumping, I think, into a necro this time. Oh, and I got my sorceress up to 25 last time as well. But necro this time. I wanted to hit all 5. I didn't have time to get all 5 this time. But this round, I want to try to get my necro up.
And Adam?
I don't know. I'd probably say Necromancer this time. Yeah, I did Druid and Rogue last time. And, I haven't played Necromancer since.
I haven't talked to you in a while.
Like, okay. Yes, we have played the game before other people.
You have access to Diablo 4 where other people don't?
Amazing, yeah. But yeah, probably Necromancer this time.
I think I'm gonna go Druid just because I'm gonna Necro so hard in the main game that I don't want to I want to save that. So I'm gonna go Druid in the Slam, I think.
Saying necro is a verb, it sounds like you're talking like a thread form somewhere.
That's how you necro.
It's true. God,
It's all
so
about
true.
corpse explosion.
We hear Rod talk about Necromancer. all the time here.
It's not my fault that it's the best class. I didn't design the game. You
All
did.
the time.
It's my fault that Necro is the best class.
Listen, folks, we're playing Barbarian launch. Okay? That's the truth, okay? No, like all the classes are super fun. They all have like interesting and different overpowered mechanics. That's just the way that we want to kind of go about class generation for Diablo 4.
Yeah. So, and just a reminder, like I said beforehand, because we have Server Slam this weekend, and then we're a little over 3 weeks from.
If you guys have any questions,
access,
feel free to
the
ask.
Deluxe and Ultimate
We
versions
just finished
are,
the Ashava
available for
World
pre-order,
Boss guide, and we
or
also
those
finished
to
guides
get
to
early
the
access
fastest
for the
level
4 days
up
of
for all classes,
5 days
where you'll be able to do it in under 2 hours.
Where you
in
live.
Server
Well, I mean,
It's
like,
still 4 days.
well, I
No
mean,
matter
it's
where you
like,
live.
I mean, it's like ish.
If you get in a plane, though,
And
You're gonna
and
fly
you might get an extra couple.
Thank you. So anyways, we do have a QR code up here, so you guys can actually go straight to the Battle.net shop, and it'll actually show you all the different versions.
And one of the questions we get around that is like, because we have cross-play and cross-progression, you know, obviously you can play on console, you can play on PC, you can play with others on console or PC, and your progress carries over no matter where you are. But that's also true for things like the rewards and the incentives. So as an example, if you were to play Server Slam on Xbox as an example, or PlayStation, and you earn the rewards for the Beta Wolf Pack or the Cry of Ashava, like that stuff will carry over when you switch platforms. Same thing for the stuff when you buy the Ultimate Edition, that stuff will carry over to other platforms. And so, you know, when people are like, oh, I want to buy 2 versions, I'm going to buy the console version and a PC version, you can buy the Ultimate in one and the Basic in another, and share those rewards.
Yeah, the only caveat though is that early access from the Ultimate version or the Deluxe version stays on the platform that you actually purchase. Yeah. So if you are wanting to play early access on PC, make sure to get the PC version, and you can
Welcome
get
to
a
our
PlayStation version or an Xbox version, and actually carry over all those other incentives over between different platforms.
That was an excellent job at fine print. You did the fine print beautifully there with a little
Thank
asterisk
you.
caveat on that.
Thank you.
The lawyers have asked me to say that you only get early access on the
I've answered
platform.
that question many times for the last couple of months. So, but we do have a lot to talk about today. I think one of the biggest things that we've been hearing from the community is the discussion around seasons and how they will work in Diablo 4.
Wait, that's what we're here to talk about?
Exactly.
It's among the many things we're going to
I'm
discuss
hoping you
today.
remember why we're here.
I don't read any of this. I don't read that, man.
But as we all know, like, seasons are a big part of Diablo itself. You know, we have seasons in Diablo 2, seasons in Diablo 3.
Season 4 on May 4th for Diablo 2 Resurrected. And we're still season 28 on Diablo 3.
Yes.
So rocking that out. So yeah, exciting.
Yeah, so but seasons with Diablo 4 has been a big question because a lot of people want to know how it kind of works and like the structure of it and so forth. And thankfully, we have Joe and Kagan here to help us and talk about that. Oh, I guess Rod too.
No, I'm just here to interrupt their flow and annoy them. That's my job.
But Joe, how do seasons in Diablo 4 work?
Adam Fletcher, thank you so much for asking me. I'd love to talk about this for a bit. So let's talk about seasons. All right, so we're gonna have a helpful infographic to show you in just a second, but let me talk to you about seasons as a general rule. Now, as we're thinking about Diablo 4 and the launch product of the game, we are trying to make sure that we've got a really great experience that players are going to be able to enjoy for their first, character playthrough of the campaign and have an excellent experience. Seasonal content, our post-launch content, is going to be arriving shortly after the launch of the base game.
Mid to late July.
Mid to late July, actually. It's good. Yeah. We haven't talked about that yet, but absolutely, it is mid to late July. You've heard it from Rod first. So that's the goal. We want to make sure that you've got enough time to play through your first character and really enjoy the campaign
At the moment, they are
kind of
saying,
explore
I
potentially
was
different
told
classes
it's 6
as
weeks
you go.
after the release.
So
when
when
they
we're
start
thinking
the
about
season
seasons
and
in
the
Diablo
for
4,
Leaderboards.
we start off with thinking about a theme, the seasonal content of that season. So we're going to have 4 seasons a year, 1 per quarter, and each of these are going to have a really strong theme associated with them. And this theme is going to basically inform the things we want to do with all the content within the season, with things that might be appearing in the Battle Pass, things in the seasonal quest line, things associated with like the new gameplay mechanics we'd be adding as part of that season. We really want to make sure these things feel like they're connected in one coherent experience for players when they log in and they play during the season.
Right.
Yeah.
And so as part of that season, then to carry that theme forward, you're going to want to obviously have some sort of context or narrative around the season. Yes. Yes,
that's absolutely right. So that leads us to the seasonal quest line. So one of the questions I see get asked either like online or occasionally we'll see in like various chat channels is just that like how are we thinking about story as a with regards to like the live service and how are we extending the story of Diablo 4? there's kind of like two approaches to the way that we're looking at things. With regards to seasons, we're not going to be using this as an opportunity to expand upon the campaign story of Diablo 4.
Right.
You know, the campaign story of Diablo 4, featuring like Arius and Lilith and the events of the Wanderer, those events are really going to be told over the course of our expansions, our post-launch expansions, that we're not talking specifically about today. You know, but that's really where the high-level narrative of Diablo 4 will continue to unfold. But that leaves our hand open to do really interesting things in seasons. So if a season is supposed to have like a theme with a gameplay mechanic and other things associated with it, it allows us to have like one really engaging seasonal quest line that manages to deliver on like a self-contained story that's going to guide the player through, like, again, the mechanics and the themes of that season. So like these are still like really big events that are happening in the world of Sanctuary, where the player is going to be able to like step in the role of the Wanderer and like kind of go and help people and like and explore.
I really hope that
mechanics.
the
Right,
quest
so you're
line
not
is
bound.
not giving you
The
an
ideas
insane
around the
power
season are
boost
not bound
like it
by the
did
campaign.
in
You're-
Diablo 3, where
You're basically creating
the
quest lines
line
in
you
the
have
open
6
world
items
that
slotted
can be
already.
completely
It
different
was
and completely, you know, it's not constrained to, it has to be about the Arius and Lilith story. It can be about anything that's sort of interesting you want to play into in the open world, right?
Absolutely. So if, for example, we had a season theme for the first season, which, again, we will not be discussing today, folks. We're going to save
Correct.
season 1 to talk about it a little bit later on.
Yeah, we plan on talking about season 1 after launch.
That's right. But let's say, for sake of argument, that the first season was, the theme was about zombies.
Which it is not.
No, this is a false premise, okay? But let's just say, for sake of argument, that it was about zombies as the theme. That means that like things that would be showing up in the Battle Pass might be related to some like zombie stuff. The season quest line might be about like the rising of zombies throughout Sanctuary. Like that, we try to make sure these things all feel connected. So season quest line, it's going to introduce new characters, like great voice acting, memorable quests and experiences will guide the player through the season. And that's the way that we're looking at things.
And so then that also then, I feel like I'm doing your job actually. Am I doing your job? I apologize.
No, you're doing great.
Oh, thanks, Adam.
You're doing amazing.
Thank you for the daily affirmation. I'll
I'm just
use it
gonna
20 bucks
leave now.
later. Sorry, I'm just curious. I think like when you think about the theme, you know, that obviously goes beyond story construct, but also goes into the mechanics, like how you think about gameplay. Yes.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the next major thing that I want to discuss, which is fresh gameplay. This is what I would. This is the great. Yes. So fresh gameplay. So with every new season, obviously we'll be introducing new story content, which I already described, and then we want to introduce new mechanics and gameplay for players to engage with over the course of that season. So this comes down to things like just new power for players to earn or ways to experience the growth of their character. Things are going to modify and change the way they're going to want to approach building their character every season. This goes beyond meta changes or like balance and tuning and things like that. It really comes down to like just wholesale like new features and things that are going to be available for the duration of that season for players to experience. And then at the end,
Or if they really manage that new seasons bring out new builds, make old builds unviable, so in every season you have to really figure out what's the new best in slot build, that would be
across the
amazing.
game, and we're not kind of creating layers of like cruft and distraction from the core Diablo experience, which we already feel is tuned very well. So yeah, we're really excited to talk about those a little bit more in the future, but you can expect like exciting new features and gameplay to engage with between new monsters and mechanics, things for players to craft or do, change their gear, or just change their skills. So we're really excited about that stuff in the future.
And then when you think about seasonal stuff, we talked about, you know, when you look at, say, Diablo 3 has the chapters that you go through to get Hager's gift and those sorts of things. So that there's a sense of progression through a season. And we've obviously talked about the Battle Pass and how the Battle Pass will be in our previous blog around this stuff as well. But it's good to clarify again. So when you think about not just like, okay, I have a seasonal narrative, I have a seasonal mechanic or gameplay hook now, but how do I think about progression within a season?
Sure. So great question. So when we're thinking about seasons, we want to make sure we are creating new opportunities for long-term progression. The first version of that we want to talk about really is the season journey, which does make a return from Diablo 3. So inside the season journey, the player is going to have an opportunity to complete a number of different objectives that are tied to mechanics, story goals, or other things that are happening during the course of the season. I think we might actually have an image for the season journey we can maybe pull up as well that might help me explain some parts of this.
I think we hid the zombie stuff though, so there's no zombies.
There's no zombie stuff in this.
Yes. No zombies.
Yes, please note the top secret labels for this because we realize there's no image we can show that doesn't start to give away some of the things we're doing in season 1. Too bad. You're going to be able to talk more. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. But here in the season journey, players are going to be able to complete a number of these objectives, as I already called out. Objectives are separated into chapters.
So
One
what's
of the big
already
changes that we
interesting,
made
you
as part
can
of the
see
season
right
journey is
here
we've ensured that now
from the
players don't need to actually
objectives, you
complete
can
every
earn
one of
legendary
the objectives
aspects,
within the
which are
chapter in order to
exclusive to
advance. You can
season.
choose to go
So
back
really
and
nice.
So if I go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty different than if you're a player of Diablo 3 and you're going through season journey. If you remember, like going through each chapter required you to finish every single little bit of it before you could progress to another chapter. So this one obviously a little different in how you kind of approach it, because you don't have to do every single thing. You can actually complete it beforehand by doing most of the objectives and kind of choosing specifically.
Yeah, like if I'm not a PvP player, I don't have to do the PvP objective to progress through the journey, right?
That's correct. If we have an objective that would send you to like the Fields of Hatred, you wouldn't have to go there to complete that one. You could do the other objectives associated with the season instead.
Got it.
So when you're going through and you're kind of completing the season journey, you're going to earn rewards for completing the objectives, and you'll also earn some big rewards at the end of each chapter, where you're going to get like packs of like crafting materials and items, and you can also unlock actual legendary aspects and go into your Codex of Power.
Oh, nice. So not just earn through dungeons, you can earn through the
a
journey.
different set of aspects, in fact, be available through the Codex of Power in this way. And some of the new legendary powers we add in every season will also be made available through this method. So you'll still be able to find them as item drops, of course, but you can start being able to experiment and play with them pretty early on through these drops. And then the last thing I think is worth talking about here is every time you complete one of these objectives, you're going to also be earning favor, which is a kind of an experience system that is used by the Battlepass. But with that, so you get like little drops from completing the objectives, and big drops of that also from completing the chapters. But when it comes to long-term progression in the Battlepass, like Kaken, would you mind maybe walking us through some of how the Battlepass works?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know there's been a lot of questions about the Battlepass, so let's talk through it today. So this is the Seasons tab, and this is going to be, the hub for all things seasons. Under that top secret label, you can see the season journey, and then at the bottom here, you can see the actual Battlepass. And what you're seeing is a mix of the free tiers and the premium tiers of the Battlepass. The way that you progress the Battlepass is, like Joe mentioned, by earning favor. And there's two sources of it. You get it from the season journey, like Joe mentioned, but you also get it from leveling up and playing any seasonal character. So there's three levels of the Battlepass. There's the free track, which like the name implies, you don't have to pay for, everybody has access to that. The premium track, which is roughly $10 US, depending on where you are in the world. And then there's the accelerated track, which is just like the premium track, but it has includes 20 tier skips. It's folks who might have gotten a late start and a special cosmetic. And that one is roughly $25 USD, depending on where you are in the world. But let's talk a little bit more about the free and premium tracks. So the free track has 27 total tiers, and what you're primarily getting from the free track are what's called smoldering ashes. And the smoldering ashes are going to be like the currency that you use to unlock seasonal blessings. So the seasonal blessings are different buffs you can get that will help accelerate your progress through the season. So you can see, for example, here, plus 3% to XP earned. That's going to help players, level up again, level up multiple characters, and all of these are really just meant to help players through that seasonal progression, through that seasonal journey. It's important to note, though, that there is a secondary level requirement on every free tier of the Battlepass that contains smoldering ashes. So for example, if you were level 1 and you bought a bunch of tier skips and hadn't played yet, you wouldn't be able to access the smoldering ashes and spend them until you had actually leveled up a character and met those level requirements. And this is to prevent folks from buying a ton of tier skips and keep everybody on a level playing ground. So that is.
I had a question about that actually. So.
Yeah.
There are no smoldering ashes available in the premium track of the Battlepass.
If they're doing this correctly, as they are saying, there's no pay to win in the Battlepass, which sounds really nice and fair
so
right there.
Basically, we've said it's always cosmetic based. So there's no you can't pay for power in Diablo 4 because, as you saw, the stuff, the season blessings are on the free track, and they have a level requirement, so you actually have to play to get to a certain point. So it keeps everybody on a level playing field.
Right, right. You may not pay for power in Diablo 4. So yeah, let's talk about next the premium track. So like I mentioned, $10 USD, depending on where you are in the world.
Really good,
and this contains
since I come from
63
universe where
total
everything
reward
was paid
tiers.
for
So you
power.
add that to the 27. From the free track, you get the 90 total tiers,
90 tiers.
in the Battle Pass, yes. There is a ton of value in that premium track. So you get 2 full armor sets for every class. And they're really themed to the season. They're meant to be like a celebration of that season's theme. And there's other stuff in there. There's the seasonal mount. There's the seasonal mount armor, which you can see here on this screen. And then there's just like a bunch of fun other little cosmetics like role-playing clothing. For example, we have like a big, pair of white bloomers in there.
This skin right
so there's lots of
there
fun
is
stuff to
fucking
find in the
badass.
Battle
So
Pass.
that's what I wear when I roll horse. The horse itself doesn't
I think
look
that's actually a
that
really fun
good,
idea, though. So like, it's not like
character itself
not necessarily like
looks
big
amazing.
armor or things, but just more other stuff. So if you want to like play a particular
Why did I
role,
choose
Yeah.
Parks Universe? There's
And you can
actually a
mix and
video
match all
on
of it.
YouTube
So,
why I
you
quit.
can create all kinds of ways to express yourself.
What's nice is that you just said there's 90 tiers, and the season is 3 months, right? So you have quite a lot of time. You have essentially 120 days to do 90 tiers, which seems doable. Like,
Yeah,
seems
we
like
want it to be achievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great.
I want to call it one thing also. Then we were looking at that image before. There's that top secret label on the left.
Yeah.
Like that is that is explicitly a link that will bring you to some part of the season journey as well. The only reason it says top secrets there is because it's got language in there that I do not want to make sure that anyone is able to read to give away what's happening in season 1.
Exactly.
Otherwise, people will know about the zombies.
Otherwise, people will know about. It's not a zombie season, Ron.
You use the example, Joe. That's on you. That's
I was
not on
just
me.
trying to pick something, okay? I'll say something. Season of the circus next time, whatever. So actually could be kind of cool, like a devilish circus sort of feel. All right, I'll talk to people
Scary
about that.
clowns.
It's scary clowns, yeah, for sure. So yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, it's nice to get a little more information on the Battle Pass, like out there.
Right, and so okay, so we talked about progression.
Yeah.
We talked about both in the season journey and in the awesome Battle Pass. And so now when we think about what the seasons also provide is like obviously we're hearing about balance. We're going to be hearing about hey, how do we improve people's experience based on what we saw in the previous season? And actually, before we get into that, if I can interject, I'll steal one of your questions from Q&A. Can I do that?
Go right ahead.
Oh yeah, all right.
So one of the things that comes up, I get a lot on my Twitter feed is around, hey, how do I think about, Diablo 3 seasons, Kagan said it earlier about like your seasonal character. That notion of do I have to re-roll to get into and experience the season and experience the narrative wrapper, to experience the mechanics, to experience the progression. Basically, do I have to start a new character?
Yeah, so Diablo 4 is balanced around the idea of trying to make sure that level up experience from 1 to 100 is really engaging and fun and very punchy when items drop for you, that your power progression feels a certain way as you play. So you do, as a result of that, we do balance around the idea of playing over the course of a quarter character, right? You can play a lot longer than that if you want, absolutely.
Right.
We want to make sure it feels really good to play inside that 9-day period. We are going to be having players like re-roll and make new characters with every new season and be able to experience the growth of their character over the course of each of those quarters.
And I think you might have said it, but just because you talk really fast, I want to make sure it's really clear.
How dare you? No one has ever said that about me.
I'm
once.
a fast talker and you beat me. So the notion around, though, that you basically have to complete the campaign at least once before you can truly experience the season, right?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, there's a couple things that so once you unlock a couple things, you'll have them for your account from that point forward. I can just kind of maybe just throw all
go right
those in
ahead.
right now.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we get so many questions about it. I think it'd be good if we clear it
Yeah,
out,
sure.
So
So
I'm pretty sure they're
so first
talking
thing is,
about
when you complete the campaign on any
those
character,
statues of
whether you're
Lilith,
playing in
because they
hardcore
already said
mode
that
of
they
the game
will
or
carry
normal mode of the
over
game,
in
no matter
the
what
new
difficulty
season.
of the game
So you
you're
only
playing
have to do
the
those
campaign on.
collectible stuff
From that point forward, every
once.
character that you make, you're going to have the option to skip the campaign as part of playing that character. So if you play the campaign as part of the this pre-season period before season 1 begins, and you finish it, when you start playing in season 1, you can choose to skip the campaign as part of your playthrough, which means you get to experience the new seasonal content right away. Otherwise, you can still choose to play through the campaign in seasons, but you'll need to finish the campaign content before the seasonal content is going to begin for you. So just things to think about as you play. So that's the first thing you get as kind of an account level unlock for your character as you play.
Right.
The second is when you're playing through the campaign, you're going to reach a point in the story where you're going to unlock your first horsey. And when you get your first horsey,
horsies.
Horsies. And once you unlock your first horsey, you're then going to have the ability to basically mount up with every one of your characters from that point forward, including characters you might have already rolled at that point. Having unlocked it once, you've got that as an account level achievement effectively for yourself. You'll be able to start like
future seasons even. I can just like start a new character. Got to get my horsey.
Level 1 after skipping the campaign or even playing through the campaign in the following season, you're gonna be able to like just go ahead and mount up right away.
My horsey's in my cave with me.
Yeah, your horsey, baby. Yes, the horsey that died is then going to immediately revive, and then you'll play with the horsey right away.
Zombies.
Oh my God!
Spoiler!
We have showed the video. People know. Okay. Honestly though, if I spoiled that moment, then I do deeply apologize, and we should put spoiler warnings on these things.
I think that Kagan brought up like zombie horses now is theme specific. I think that leans right into that seasonal theme.
Yeah.
Pivoting.
Yeah. Absolutely.
3 weeks before launch.
Yeah, sure. Sound off in the comments if you want zombie season. Let's hear it. Okay, so that's the second thing. You'll have access to your mount that you unlock. And then the last thing is that there's as you're playing through the, as you probably played as part of like the open betas that we've done, and we'll see again in SummerSlam, you'll be finding these altars of Lilith throughout the world.
Server Slam.
What did I say?
Summer
Okay.
Server Slam.
Completely a slip, everybody. It has nothing to do with SummerSlam. So yeah, during the Server Slam, wow, I really did, didn't I? So during the Server Slam, you're going to be finding altars of Lilith throughout the world. And when you collect these, you get two things. One, you're getting renown, which is going to be basically used to get a number of different, rewards for your characters on that realm from that zone. So new skill points, new healing potion charges, things like that you've got a chance to see before. Right. But you also get a permanent stat boost, for all characters on your account.
One of the main reasons to go after the altars.
Yeah, right. But we don't want you to need to necessarily go after them every single quarter to go and collect all of these. We think it's really fun to be the first time to go and find all these things.
Right.
So once you get that stat boost the first time, that stat boost
if you want to play the Server Slam, there's already a guide on YouTube available how to collect all the altars of Lilith in your Server Slam. So you don't have to search it. You can just use the map I made and collect them really fast.
You don't have to do everything on the renown track to get all the renown. You can do it. Maybe I want to do. Maybe strongholds are my favorite feature. So I can lean into strongholds or whatever. So, but what you're saying is, hey, I played the campaign. I found all these altars of Lilith the first time, and now when we go into a season, they are hidden again. But I still keep all the buffs I got the first time, all the things that are permanent, like the +2 intelligence, +2. God knows I need +2 intelligence, and +2 strength and what have you. But the idea of going and finding an altar to add more renown to the pool to progress, I can still do that. Like
Absolutely.
I can still go find them if I want to.
Yeah, and you get a little bit of experience for doing it as well. So yeah, they're still kind of fun to stumble
Maybe
across.
Important to note here is that if you collect the altars in a previous season or in pre-season,
I think we covered
you will not need all the renown to actually get all the
entries in your
rewards.
Codex
So you
power
don't have to
reset,
collect them a
find
second time.
those aspects again.
Go to the dungeons.
Yeah, go do the dungeons again. So yeah, those are the things we reset.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so that definitely great long-term. That was really on topic, actually, in terms of long-term progression, because it actually is long-term progression.
Yeah, by the letter of the law, it's long-term progression. So yeah, Rod's 100% correct. Thank you.
But when you think about what else the seasons provide an opportunity for, like you talked about, like all these things. Okay, we have a new quest line, we have new mechanics, we have all this progression, but it's also an opportunity to kind of react to player feedback and also what you're seeing in terms of the data coming in terms of balance or things that maybe we need to smooth out and sand down.
Yeah, absolutely. So we know that operating a live service game with Diablo 4 after the game launches and the seasons come out, that is going to be basically it's the best versions of this are always a conversation with the player base as we play and a conversation with the community as we play. So as we're going to be receiving feedback and we're seeing how certain features and content is performing, that gives us opportunities to sort of like respond to that feedback and react to it with updates to the game. Now, things take lead time, so if we see immediately after launch that there's something that we could get maybe make an improvement on, it's tough to like immediately and very quickly turn around like big changes. But we want to make sure that we are carefully iterating to make Diablo 4 the best version of itself that it can be as we go.
Sure.
Yeah, and this is like it brings up to the point like where we just had betas and we literally took the feedback that we got from the community, which we, we're obviously super appreciative of because it just makes a better game in the end of the day, and people will actually be able to experience those changes from the beta in the Server Slam.
You actually have to give them real good props right there, because they already implemented so much community feedback from the last beta. So yeah, if they continue this track and being that close to the community, we can expect some really nice changes if we're having issues with something.
And sort of this, like having quarterly seasons, you're not like once season 1 launches, we start season 2. Like season 2 has to be pretty much like very very much in flight. And that's what I think Joe was talking about around the idea that we're going to be as responsive as we can. So if there's a bug, or especially if it's something we can fix on the server, like we'll do things quickly. Yeah. But if there's a big change, it may take a season to get there, just because Season 2 is already mostly in the can by the time Season 1 is.
That's how game development works, everyone.
What? Yeah. You're developing things ahead of time? Unbelievable. That's why we know we have zombies. And so, but just something in terms of patience and understanding is like the way that you have to build seasons is you're basically having two seasonal teams that are leapfrogging each other with, like, you know, we kind of call it the odd team and the even team, to be able to keep up that pace. And so that's why I was like, oh, I saw this thing in Season 1, it's definitely addressed in Season 2. It may not, if it's big enough. It may be that Season 1 thing we saw is in Season 3 because it was big enough to require that time.
Yep.
So the development approach is exactly the same as it is in Hearthstone, for example. They will always provide the new season and already have the follow-up season basically ready and just adapt some slight stuff.
Well, the other part of the season is
really solid strategy here.
We've got a lot of positive response.
Was not expecting something else, because Hearthstone seasons are so consistent. Why should it not be here?
Customization during the season, because we know they're like, maybe talk a little bit about what you can actually find in the world, but also, you know, what we're excited about with the shop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the game is full of hundreds of incredible transmogs, you know, that you'll unlock just by salvaging gear. And the transmogs in the game really give you this this power, this sense of like visceral power progression for your character.
Right.
And so they're meant to really like bring that to life, grounded in Diablo's story and its world and its lands. And what the shop offers is a lot of diversity. So like the way that we wanted diversity of like the fantasies that you can experience and that you can express. So the way that we wanted to support the development of the seasons was to, you know, add things to the game that players would appreciate, you know, to create art and beautiful things that are grounded in Diablo 4's world and its art style, but provide this like array of class fantasies. And so for example, if you want to be like a thunder goddess as a sorceress, or you want to be a big barbarian that like rips the tongues out of your enemies and puts them on your armor.
Very specific. That was very specific.
Though that's good.
Slightly unsettling, but very specific.
Yeah. You can, you know, the shop is going to help provide a lot of this like diversity in the types of fantasies, and then you can take all those pieces and mix and match them with the cool stuff that you find in the game to express yourself all kinds of ways.
Yeah, I think one fun thing about this too, like players got a chance.
Like tongue ripping, is that the fun thing?
Absolutely,
yeah, tongue ripping.
But no, I was actually going to talk about our previous betas. We got a chance to see a lot of players making really cool looking customized characters in the game, and all of the gear they're collecting, it's still very low level gear. Like there's much more stuff to go find.
Wait, there's more
wait
beyond
till you
level
get
20?
to the end game.
There's a lot more looks and appearances to find as you're progressing through more of the game.
One of the things I love about the equipment that's in the game is that we actually
maybe we need a little explanation here. What they're saying about the in-game stuff.
Here's our side-by-side.
This is not my point, but
every
it's fine.
item you can find in-game, if you salvage it and destroy it, you're getting the transmog for it.
I just think it's really cool that we have like regional looks, like
I think
of like,
a really decent
there's like
system
a
to get
Howzar look, and there's
going.
a Fractured Peaks look, and that kind of thing. That is kind of interesting that when you go into a particular zone in the world and you start collecting loot, you're actually picking up pieces that are of that zone, so you can actually dress more like a person from that zone if you wanted to.
That's right, particularly with the legendary gear when you're leveling up 100%. Yeah, so there's a lot more to discover even after that as you get into world tiers and more.
Did you want to, Kegan, you want to talk us through some of the examples?
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the shop armors.
This is tongue ripping, right?
Yeah,
no,
you can see blood right out of their mouth, right there.
I don't know if the names are final, but this guy, I think his name is Death Raven, the shop guy. But yeah, so you can see sort of like a side by side of in-game armor for the barb versus like a shop armor.
I think I just want to one thing. I think it's so funny that we accidentally got these really awesome poses for the in-game armors, and all the shop armors are just a person standing. Like this was
checking his look in the mirror.
This wasn't completely intentional, but it was a funny.
It was totally an accident. It's because two different teams made the pictures.
It's just funny as all.
But yeah, let's look through some of the other side by sides. Again,
She's very excited to have found the armor.
Like, I'm I'm here. And then we have one of my favorites from the shop there. Oh, yes, and this is Rogue side by side. So
if you remember our last stream from the open beta,
so keep an eye out
my
for,
sorcerer
tons
looked
of
almost
really
exactly
cool
the same as the one on the left
I
side
love the
right there.
tassets on the in-game armor, and I love the pauldrons on the shop armor.
Just use the word
so cool.
tacet. I didn't.
There's honestly like
I've been in fancy games
the
for a long time.
MTX is focused on collection, right? Like it's not like we're trying to like put only the cool stuff in one channel or the other. There's awesome stuff to collect from the game and the shop.
And like you said earlier, like you can mix and match, create your own fantasy, which is really cool.
See, now we're talking my language with the Necro. But like, for example, if I really like the in-game look, but I want that the shop helmet, like when I buy that armor set, I can take that helmet and apply it to my in-game if I wanted to, yes?
That's right, and you can dye everything.
Oh, in the
So,
wardrobe,
like,
I can actually recolor everything too.
yeah, you can dye everything from the shop and in the game. I think there are 8 colors in the dye palette, so yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to check that out during Server Slam, you should make sure that you get a chance to play with the wardrobe and try dyeing some gear.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's customization. And then one more thing is related to customization, not tied to appearances and looks, which I think we already have a good coverage on. But you will also be adding new like legendary powers, like I called out before, and also new unique items with every new season. Make sure there's like new builds and ways to kind of like create customized characters.
And those will stay. Those aren't seasonal. Those
will be going to the Eternal Realm as well as the Seasonal Realm, and they're going to be evergreen. They're going to be there after the season is over, which continue to add to the pool.
And so speaking of evergreen, like that's true. Like there's potential to add side quests and things like that. Like there's ways to continue to enrich the open world through seasons that will actually stay as people sort of move from the season into the Eternal Realm or to the next season. Yes.
Yep, 100%. We are going to be looking for those opportunities to kind of continue to add to the world of Diablo 4 and to continue to build out Sanctuary. These are things that we're really excited about as a team.
And we never actually, I think maybe that might have been the first time someone's mentioned the Eternal Realm, but like that is the intention, much like Diablo 3, that a seasonal character will, be in the season playing everything that we've been talking about so far, and then when that season ends, that character will then move to the Eternal Realm where it will live on, and you can choose to play there, or you can choose for the next season roll a new seasonal character and go again. Yeah,
that's absolutely right. So the characters will get merged down in the Eternal Realm at the end of the season, giving you an opportunity to take some of the stuff that they collected over that period of time, and then build a new character as part of the next season.
Yeah, there's no reason to feel like to shy away from starting a new character on the season because you will retain all of that progress.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
Okay, cool. And so what about when we think about when I play the main game outside of a season, we know we have capstone dungeons to be able to change my difficulty tier. We know that at the end there's some mysterious level 100 boss that I want to try to get max out and prove I can beat this level 100 boss at level cap. Like, are there other things within seasons that are kind of like that, or how do I think about that sort of notion about like this sort of looking to the horizon of what I want to do?
Well, once again, Rod Ferguson, I couldn't ask for a better tee-up in this case. Let's discuss the idea of aspirational challenges. So with every season, we want to continue to build upon the end game and the goals that players are going to have for themselves with every season of Diablo 4. And we've got some particularly big ideas as we go through the first couple of seasons when the game launches.
I hope those aspirational challenges are based on the leaderboard, because we so far have zero information on the leaderboards yet.
Pinnacle challenges.
Pinnacle.
I honestly heard
we all heard pickle
zombies
challenges.
and pickles is
yeah. All right, okay, well, fair enough. All right,
Throw in some mayo in there.
at
It's a
SummerSlam.
sandwich.
This is the level of respect that Joseph Pipe War, Associate Game Director, gets on Diablo 4.
I'm looking forward to the pickle challenges, all I'm saying.
Yeah, same. Okay, so basically, we want to make sure that we've got these new big challenges for players to go and engage with every time we release a season. And as we go, we'll continue to add more depth to this. One thing we want to be very careful about is we're not looking to just sort of like arbitrarily continue to make the game longer and longer and longer and longer to play.
Right.
That's not the goal. Again, we are balanced around hitting level 100, earning your Paragon points, getting all of your legendary unique items. That's the real focus of power progression for the player. We want to provide new and distinct opportunities for players to kind of express that power and new goals to chase over the course of the season, without necessarily making like just more stuff that you have to go through in order to play the game. So yeah, things we're very excited about. New bosses, new major encounters, new dungeons, new things. And then as we see how players are reacting to the game as it is, we'll continue to build in that direction as well.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting when we talked about like side quests and things like that. It's also true kind of for the end game is that we may use seasons to experiment with new in-game features, and then if it's working really well, we might decide to keep it. If it's not working quite so well, we may have it leave with the season, and then maybe bring it back later. And what I like about the kind of quarterly seasonal flow we have going is that it allows us to experiment a little bit and see what works and what doesn't. And if it doesn't work, we know it's only there for 3 months. If it does work, hey, maybe we'll have it stick around. So it's a great opportunity to try stuff out.
Absolutely, particularly as it relates to content too. So you're able to bring in like these really tough encounters and different bosses and things of that nature. And then these mechanical features, as we see how they perform and we see how players react to them, we may or may not decide to keep them on, to your point. And if they're particularly popular, we decide to keep them in.
Awesome.
We want to hear from players about what's working, what they're enjoying, what's, and also, what kinds of fantasies they want us to make in the shop. So let us know anything that you want, gameplay or from the shop and Battlepass.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, this is ultimately going to be a conversation. And as we see how players are actually playing Diablo 4, that's going to help us, advise us on how we want to build Diablo 4.
Corpse exploding necro look. I'm looking for a corpse exploding necro
I
look.
think we got you covered.
Oh, okay.
You're going to have to stay tuned for future seasons.
Okay, good to know.
And I will say, I know we glossed over it really quickly, but we were talking about meta changes and things like that, and balancing and whatnot. That is included in the feedback. That is incredibly important for hearing from players related to that.
Yeah, I don't want to skip over that either. Thank you, Adam, for calling that out. So, if Diablo 4 is a game about choice, we want to make sure that we don't allow balance issues persist so long that they start to kind of interrupt or disrupt that choice that we're trying to provide for players. We don't want any one particular build to feel so powerful that there's not a reason to play other builds within a season. So we want to make adjustments to make sure that player builds that might not be seeing as much play and get buffed and adjusted appropriately, make sure that they do see more use as time goes on. That is important to us. We will be making those changes on a regular basis.
Yeah, we don't want one way to play. We want every class and to have builds that all are equally as effective in terms of being successful. We don't want to be like, only Whirlwind Barbarians can succeed, so only everybody's playing.
Yeah, that's the ideal. The reality is that every season will be something that's a little bit more powerful than something else. Sure. We just want to make sure that the distinction, the divide there is not so great that it feels like you're making the wrong choice mathematically to ever play anything beyond whatever's considered meta for that moment.
Right. Well, it's not like RPG players are min-maxers at all. They never try to do the most with the least ever.
No. Joe, dead fan.
I'm not signing up for that. I think in the spirit of managing expectations and ripping band-aids off, I do think there's something we haven't talked about that we should at least say, knowing that we haven't talked about, which is leaderboards. I think the notion that I think people with Diablo 3 and even D2R as an example.
Nice, here we finally go.
The main thing about the D2R season
most
is the
important
leaderboard.
Information.
And so just saying that in the early seasons, at least for season 1 and 2, there will not be a leaderboard. And that is something, again, as I said, a lot of stuff's already in flight. We understand the importance of leaderboards. We understand people wanting to be competitive in their PvE play, competitive in their build play, be able to show their mastery of certain things. And so it's definitely on our backlog that is a thing we're working towards, to provide the player community with leaderboards as we move forward through seasons, but it's not something you're going to see in season 1 and potentially not in season 2. Again, I'm just managing expectations so you're not yelling at me on Twitter after. We hear you, we know we want it, we're working on it, it's just not going to be there at launch or season 1 and 2.
Yep. That's right. So we're going to take the time to do them right. We'll bring them online as soon as we can.
Honestly, having no leaderboards on season 1 sounds
really
crappy. I really hope they reconsider this and bring out season with an actual leaderboard. And use the preseason to gather information on how to bestly design
We'll try to answer as many as possible. But I know we did touch on this really quickly as we're collecting these questions right now. But when will season 1 launch?
Mid to late July.
So,
I mean, the reason around the timing is twofold. One is we want to make sure that we will launch this season, we launch it into the best state the game can be in to accept that season. We don't, there's a launch of a game of this scale. There can always be some things that we have to work through and settle
talked about before.
But 2 is just, again, as Joe talked about, you need to be able to get through the campaign before you start the season. So by having enough time in what we call the preseason, and so in the preseason, Kagan, no Battle Pass because it's a preseason, but there will be basically a sort of a reduced scope shop, yes?
Yeah, there will be some things you can buy. You can sort of get a sense of what we have. There's, armor sets, mounts and mount armors, and then there's some other cool things like emotes and headstones. So like if you die on the field of battle, you can leave behind a monument that is special.
Nice. As we said,
well, that helps a lot if we are playing hardcore, that we can leave a monument after we die.
Yeah. Dead forever.
Dead forever.
Yeah.
So So,
in the game.
In the game. No. We come to your house. We know where you live.
We don't have that kind of budget.
I thought that was
Snow Crash.
I thought that was our Butcher April Fool's thing.
It
we
is-
come
it
to your
is.
house and we kill you.
True hardcore mode. So that is a popular question that we've gotten where people were confused by like, hey, if you die in hardcore, like, do you come back to life or do you just like start off like with no gear or something?
Roll
like
again,
that? It's like,
start
no,
again.
Yeah, you
start all
again.
over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's and in PvP too.
But
Yes.
and that speaks to something that as we talk about the shop and customization, is one of the things is that when you buy one of the things that's sort of different, the Battle Pass, as you talked about, is the armor and those sorts of things are class agnostic. That when I buy something or when I get something in the Battle Pass, I can apply it to whatever class I'm playing. But the shop is different because the shop you can actually target. I can go and say, oh, I want this necromancer look, and it's not, and it doesn't go across.
And it's very specific to like the necromancer fantasy.
Right, but it's not character based; it's account based. So if I, for whatever reason, roll 5 necromancers, I can apply that armor to all 5 of them. Right.
All future necromancers that you ever create.
any
So for
necromancer in
the
the future.
infinite rogue like me, I'm gonna get a lot of value.
Right. Okay, great.
All right, I'm gonna try to pronounce these names, and some of them are easy, thankfully. But I'm gonna try to include people.
I was going to say, he's like, I'm going to try this, but Bob asks. And you're like, good job, Adam. You nailed that one.
Great disclaimer.
Pat myself on the back there. So we have a question from Negative Capable. If we get the premium Battle Pass late, is the favor retroactively applied?
It is. Like you will earn the favor, and then it will unlock the tiers that, like the premium tiers that you didn't unlock because you hadn't unlocked the premium Battle Pass yet.
Yeah, like you'll still earn everything in the free track as well. Like you're kind of making progress like the whole time.
The whole
It's just a
time.
question
Yeah.
whether or not when you get the premium versions, when you get to get all the premium rewards you
Yeah,
would
then
unlock.
it'll just suddenly unlock all those like locked premium tiers that you already went through.
And just a reminder, premium tiers just being obviously the cosmetics blessings are part of the free.
That's
track.
right. There are no there's no smoldering ash in there.
Zip, zero,
Yep.
no smoldering ash, no pay for power
In premium tiers, yeah.
in
There you go.
premium.
And the,
No pay for power at all.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm just saying no
Period.
smoldering ash in premium tiers.
Yes.
Also
But that's also, just to clarify, like that's also true of the season journey, is that if let's say, I'm starting a new, I'm not getting the game till much later. It's season 2, and I'm buying the game at season 2. When I play the campaign, in the background, it's tracking the season journey accomplishments I'm doing while I'm playing the campaign. So it's not everything in the season journey is tied to like sort of open world seasonal play. It's also some things can be accomplished by playing the campaign. And so when I finish and I go into the seasons, all of a sudden, ding, 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 a bunch of stuff in the season journey it will complete. Yes?
Yeah, that's the expectations. You'll be able to move through that season journey a little more quickly if you start in the campaign. You might not be able to like finish every chapter as you go because there's going to be some things you have to kind of like participate in the season quest line or the season mechanics in order to be able to really get. But you will be making progress the entire time. But I don't think your hypothetical case is likely to happen because obviously everybody is going to buy Diablo 4 on or before launch.
Right.
So yeah.
It's a good call.
Question from
QR code right here. QR code. If you would like to. I did not see that when I said that. Now I'm even happier.
question from Juck Lax. Around what level will you end up getting to the mount specifically?
So the problem wasn't the name, it was the
Yeah,
question
it was the
itself.
question itself. I'm just trying to like correct.
It's just,
I think that is around level 30-ish. Yeah, it's around level 30-ish.
it depends. Like
Yeah, it really
depends
does.
on-
every
depends on
one
where
of these
you're-
questions
True.
is going to be depending on how you play.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
open world playing and you're driving up your level before you do the golden path on
Yep.
the campaign? Like basically the horsey,
Yeah.
as you in pony, we use different names for these. But the mount is unlocked as part of your campaign progression.
Right.
So you have to play the campaign at some point to unlock the mount. If you decide I'm not touching the campaign, I'm going to get to level 100 just in the open world, you will not unlock that horse.
That's completely true.
Okay, so this is some important
question
information because not having a
from-
mount sucks early on because you sometimes have to walk really
Day
far.
2. Are you going to
if
move
we
the
know
altars
if
each
we can
season?
maybe
So we
speed
should,
run campaign until
so
we get the mount, and
they're in
then
different
go
locations
to
every
our
single season.
legendary per
Right now, the plan is
EXP
not to move them every
playstyle.
season.
We
That's
should
something
be
we've
fine
discussed
here.
as a team. We'll see what the feedback is like, but right now we don't want you to have to rediscover the locations every time if you're looking for them, but we'll see how things adjust as we play.
Awesome.
Not hard for us to do.
Yep. And just to mess with you, we might anyway. So just like-
Maybe now I will.
yeah, exactly.
Question from Slimy Saul.
People need
we
need more self-esteem in our community. I'm just telling you right now.
What about seasonal cosmetics? Are they account bound?
They are. So like if you unlock I assume you're talking about the shop and Battle Pass cosmetics?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you unlock a armor for your barbarian, all future barbarians that you ever make, and on the Eternal Realm, on the Seasonal Realm, it's usable on all of them.
Cool. Kiddo asks, do ashes transfer over from previous seasons?
No. So with every new season, you'll be resetting and starting to go through your ash collection once again.
It's also like one of the things maybe we didn't call it, but like the season, because there's season blessings, there was actually one that was top secret. So there'll be blessing. Those blessings we'll be playing with those. So there'll be season specific blessings, and we may mess with what blessings are working or not. Again, it's part of the quality of life. Where we go like, hey, we see this as an issue, or this is not working the way, or we see another opportunity. So this is another place we can play every season.
Question from Infernal Odin, do you need to have the premium battle pass for the blessings?
If we can reset after we spec into one of those smoldering ashes,
that's why the
but then you could go experience while you're level, and once you hit 100, you can go gold, for example.
And it's, again, there's two conditions. You have to have the favor to get to those free tiers, and you need to have the level requirement so that you, again, so everybody's at the same place kind of from a play perspective. So there's no way to accelerate that and that you're somehow using tier skips to pay for power. You're not. It's because it's on the free track, and you have to have a certain level requirement to be able to unlock that that ash to be able to use in the blessing.
This is a long name, and I'm not going to try. Is every season to level 100?
Oh, I thought that was their name.
Oh, that is all.
The question from is every season. I'm like, wow, that is a long name.
Every season to level 100.
I mean, the season is till to the point where the player decides they've hit all the goals they have for themselves.
Till you cry,
season.
uncle.
But I mean, you are going to start level 1, and you are going to play level 100. You know, if you choose to, with every season. Sure. But it's up for a player to choose what goals they want to really go after.
Question from Wittels: will shop items stay in the shop, or will there be limited cosmetics too?
Oh, that is a great question. Sorry. So when items, the shop is actually personalized. There's limited shelf space in there, so you'll see a set of items in the shop, and then they'll swap out periodically. So in preseason, once a week on Tuesdays, some new things will come into the shop, some old things will come out of the shop. But when things leave, they're not like put into a vault. They will come back into the shop fairly frequently. Yeah.
And that's the personalized. We actually have a thing like recommended for you,
As a skin
which is one of the
collector,
things that's really interesting. Like when something leaves the shop, it actually goes into a
people
pool
often have
of
the feeling
things that
that
can
if
be
they have
recommended.
something
So
that
if
is
someone
rare
like
and will never
Kagan, who's
return, they're
constantly
more
playing
likely to
rogue, or somebody
spend.
like me who's constantly playing necro, they'll actually say like, "Hey, you seem to be playing a lot of rogue. Here's some rogue things that may either be new or something you may have missed previously, or hey, there's some necro stuff." And so it's one of the things that's really nice about the shop is it has a little bit of that, intelligence, and then that has a sort of recommendation engine where it can go and say like, "Hey, I noticed these kind. You seem to be really interested in blood-looking things. Here's a new blood-looking thing, that kind of stuff." So I think it'll be a nice way to keep the shop fresh and interesting, and actually tailored to the person. So just to be like, so in the recommend for you, like Kagan's thing, her shop may look different with rogue, as mine would be filled with necros potentially. I mean, there'll be.
You'll get a mix,
right,
but like
it'll
make. We want to make sure that the shop is serving you things that are actually interesting to you, and that we're not like forcing you to scroll through lots and lots of pages to find the exact thing you want. So, but to answer the question, no, when things leave the shop, they are not gone for good. They will rotate back in, and the shop is trying to show you things that you want to buy. Yeah.
Right, but there are like, it's not just that section where things are being recommended. You also have class-specific areas. So even if I'm playing Necro all the time, but I'm really curious, I'm about to go play a rogue, I want to go look at the rogue, that stuff's all there too. It's not like I'm only limited to the stuff that it's recommending. I can go browse the shop as well on other classes and such, right?
That's right.
Yep. Do you lose all season progress when a hardcore character dies?
So the things you complete in the season journey are all account bound, so you won't lose that progress. But the things that you collect on your character, that stuff's going to go away.
Yeah. So if you happen to find like really good gear or something, you're wearing it there, gone, just gone.
But the chapters you've unlocked or the favor you've earned.
Yeah,
that's
that all stays.
Absolutely true. Yep.
Yeah, that is true.
Yep.
And then this is actually something that we should clarify here because someone Tesday was asking. I'm missing something, or Ashes. Is it still a pay-to-win mechanic since you can advance 20 levels on the pass by paying? The thing that you may have not caught was that there is a secondary requirement, which is you have to get to a specific level.
That's right.
If to unlock that specific ash and
so even if you bust through those first 20 tiers by buying the accelerated pass, you won't have met the secondary level requirement on the free tiers that have smoldering ashes in them, so you won't be able to unlock them faster that way.
Yep, exactly. Funny question from Tactica. When will we get Rod's hoodie in the shop?
Rod's hoodie has been in the shop. Unfortunately, I sent people that were like, "Hey, if you want to go to the gear shop," and they only have smalls.
So technically, it's still there.
If you can buy, if you're small, which I am not. We are very aware of some certain things that we have in the shop that are very popular. One was the Lilith denim jacket with the hoodie sleeves that I think was awesome couple of years ago that we didn't. I don't know why we didn't bring back.
We were literally just talking about this before the stream started too.
Yeah, exactly. And so we know we hear the comments that I wear this because in any interview that's required me to sit, I need to hide all the folds and stuff. So I use this as my shelter. But people like it, so we need to bring it back in the shop and get more stock. So that's where we are.
Let's see. There is a question regarding when you skip the campaign. From Master Barbarian. You're probably playing Barbarian.
It's not guaranteed.
Shocker.
When you skip the campaign, what level do you actually start at?
Level 1.
Level 1.
Every character you make a Diablo 4 is going to start at level 1.
Okay, and I think I answered this wrong on Twitter, so you can correct me. When someone asked me when you skip the campaign, where do you start? I knee-jerked said you start in the cave, and that's not true, right? When you skip the campaign, you start in Kyovashad.
Yes. So for season 1 and for the preseason, when you skip the campaign, you'll start in Kyovashad. Might not always be in Kyovashad.
Ooh. Foreshadowing. Dun, dun, dun.
I guess, yeah, sure.
You start in a grave as a zombie that you wake up and then you go in the
It's a zombie thing. Maybe it is, I don't know.
Now, people are just completely going to believe that. Like,
I know,
it's a
that's
zombie
the fun.
thing.
It's all pirates and zombies from here on out.
Just don't get heavily attached to the zombie idea because it's not happening.
Please don't.
so it's not happening.
Will there be unlockable mounts or cosmetics through defeating gameplay challenges, or will those only be through the shop itself?
Yes, there are some mounts and other things you can collect, like trophies, and certainly titles and things along those lines that you will get from overcoming particular challenges throughout Diablo 4. So there's plenty of stuff to actually collect as well. It's not just even finding gear on the ground and picking it up and salvaging it. There's other things you'll get as achievement level rewards for having completed certain kinds of content.
And seasons will have new titles and new things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seasons can have new titles and again the aspects or things you'll be collecting as you play.
And then this is a question about the server slam stuff, which was if they had the open beta app on PlayStation, do they need to download a different one? The answer is no, you won't. Here in the next couple minutes or so, you will be able to 2 minutes. Well, 2-ish minutes, just in case. 2-ish minutes. Please don't come after me at 12 o'clock when it's not
Maybe something everyone could also be certain about is there's new driver updates for NVIDIA, especially for the Diablo server slam. So definitely download this.
Yes, all your characters from beta do not move over with this server slam. You will have to start with fresh start characters.
And to be clear, one good thing is this is a third opportunity to get, if you didn't get your wolf puppy pack, this is another opportunity. So if you reach level 20 with any character during Server Slam, which you have 48 hours to do it, and you could probably knock it out on a Friday with a little no lifing, but level 20 to get your beta puppy pack. And then we have a new reward around defeating a Shava at level 20. So and it has to be level 20.
Yep.
And so
look at this fancy graphic.
Now the reward is
it's like a car
being
commercial.
revealed. Wait for it.
Wait
There it is. Ta-da.
So to be super clear though, because I've had this question, it is not the horse or the horse's armor or the horsey or the pony. It is actually the claw on the back, which we call the cry of a Shava or a Shava's cry.
The cry of a Shava.
The cry of a Shavan, because if you were declawed, you would cry too. But you have to beat Ashava at level 20. If you beat Ashava at level 19, no claw for you.
That's right.
You'll be the one crying, not Ashava. So that was just mean. But
what if I have friends who can like carry me through the combat? And I can just go there at level 9.
You have to be level 20 to get the claw. Like you can beat Ashava, but plus don't be that person. Those are 11 people who need another level 20 to show up. Like do not, if you go early, you're just bringing the team down. Don't go early. Get to level 20. It's not that hard. And then represent. And then you'll get the cool new mount trophy. And it's an example of one of the other cosmetic types we have is mount trophies, but a lot of it is around achievements. Like we have stuff for PvP where you can demonstrate like I'm a badass who kills other players, and so you can have a certain mount trophy for that. So it's a cool new reward. It's just we want people to go in, and so you'll have 9 chances. So what we've done is the game Server Slam will start on Friday at 9 a.m. And then, sorry, at noon, I apologize. Friday at noon, the game Server Slam will start. And then you basically have till Saturday at 9 a.m. to get to level 20. And then at 9 a.m., we start Ashava every 3 hours. So based on that, you'll have 9 chances to kill Ashava. So those are your windows of opportunity. So highly recommend you spend Friday getting to 20 and then Saturday trying to kill Ashava. And please get to 20 before, don't be that person. Don't drag down your team.
There's a lot of time to get to 20 and a lot more opportunities now compared to even the beta where Ashava only spawned 4 times that whole entire weekend.
Right.
Now you have a lot more opportunities to actually take down Ashava. It is more of a challenge, as we said before.
Fewer legendaries, lower level cap.
Yep, it absolutely can be done on both world tiers, but if you're having a difficult time with a particular attempt, don't be afraid to step down to Adventurer tier.
No shame.
And make it a little bit easier for yourself, potentially.
None at all. One last question before we will wrap up, because this gives an opportunity for people to start downloading Server Slam, which is when you spend Smoldering Ash, can you re-roll that Smoldering Ash onto different blessings and so forth?
Like, can you unspend it?
Can you unspend it and put it on other blessings?
Honestly, I'll have to follow up with design.
I will follow up on that.
Oh, there we go.
And I will provide an answer on that.
You stumped us.
Yeah, we've been stumped. We've been stumped. So just a reminder, Server Slam downloads will be starting here momentarily.
It should have already started 2 minutes ago.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
So you should be able to grab it from the Battle.net client, from PlayStation, Xbox as well. And if you already have the beta clients, those will start to update automatically, so you'll be prepared for this weekend. Provide feedback on our forums. You can see all the amazing rewards here and so forth for Server Slam this weekend. Provide all your feedback on the forums. We'll be reading forums, Reddit, social media, and so forth.
Yeah, I think we should also...
oh, the puppy. I've got to play this time. I was working last time. I didn't get the puppy, so...
You didn't hit 20 last time?
I didn't. I was working. I didn't play.
Awesome. I mean, I think, to be clear, too, I just want to, again, as we talk about the realities of development, I feel like the team did an amazing job responding to the feedback on the open beta and being able to make all the changes that made for the dungeon and the font and all the stuff all the great feedback we had. And we still want that same feedback coming off Server Slam, but please recognize the game went gold a little while ago. We are 22 days away from launch, so our ability to respond in a really big way to feedback is going to be somewhat limited as we're kind of coming in to land this airplane, if you will. So we're doing our best, and we're going to respond as best we can. But just in terms of the scope of changes, we were able to do a lot coming off open beta, probably less off Server Slam. This is really meant to be, hey, we're getting ready to go live. We want to make sure our servers are ready for that. And so this is what this is about. We still want your feedback. I'm just saying, manage expectations. You may see the results of that feedback more towards season 1 or such. So just something to be aware of.
Yeah, so lots coming up here this weekend, and lots coming up before launch as well for Diablo 4. We're obviously really excited. This is actually, I will note, this is our last developer update live stream.
One tier.
Before launch. We will continue these post-launch.
Even if it's just you by yourself, we're talking.
Yeah, I will just jump on a camera and deadpan for 1 hour.
Walking over to Starbucks on your phone.
Yeah.
I imagine we'll be talking a great deal.
Yes.
We've already spoken quite a great deal.
And there's more. There's plenty more where that came from.
I haven't even said a fraction of what I could say.
I mean, that's what it is to be paid by the word.
Yep, it's true.
And just another reminder that all the topics that we discussed today regarding seasons, Battle Pass, and shop, and so forth, those are actually going to be available on Diablo4.com. We'll have a blog up immediately after this stream, so people can actually take a look there and get more information or read more information if you happen to just jump in halfway through or something like that.
Yeah. Or we spoke too fast.
Or it, yeah.
And you want to read it at your own pace, then that's a good place to go to do that.
Side-eyeing Joe the whole time.
I appreciate you, Joe.
I appreciate Joe.
We all appreciate Joe.
Joe's great. Joe's great. And at the same time, the Server Slam information, we have a blog up for that as well. And that, again, starts at noon Pacific time, May 12th.
Noon. Yes, noon.
Sorry, noon Pacific time, May 12th. So we hope to see you guys there.
In the U.S., Mother's Day weekend. Or
Mother's Day weekend.
Blessed Mother's Day weekend.
Blessed Mother's Day weekend in the U.S. and in some participating countries that have not already celebrated Mother's Day.
I know, that's yeah.
Or will celebrate Mother's Day at a different date, but yes. But yeah, thank you guys again for tuning in for another Diablo 4 Developer Update live stream. Thank you again to this wonderful panel of guests, Rod, Kagan, Joe.
So thank you very much for tuning into the stream. We will be streaming the whole Server Slam live on Twitch, on hardcore, no jokes. If I die, community event triggers, you're getting a reward that you can stack up and then turn in as soon as the game launches. Maybe you're getting some free cosmetics out of it. Cheers, guys.